So earlier in the show, we walked you through how to use the Duval County School District's dashboard so that you can see how many students and school staff have tested positive for COVID-19. Just like last year, the Duval County Health Department is in charge of contact tracing in Duval County schools. It's why we've asked Tawanda Washington, who's the incident commander, to join us live via Zoom this morning to explain how students and parents will be notified about any possible exposure. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. Thanks for being with us. So first, if a student or a teacher or staff member does test positive, what do you want them to do?
The first thing we want them to do is to notify the school. Just like last year, parents or teachers should notify the school, and then a representative from the school system notifies DOH each day of reported information.
And then how quickly do you begin contact tracing?
We actually begin the contact tracing process immediately. Once we're notified, a contact investigator will reach out and will begin the investigative interviews and will then reach out to the identified contacts. Everyone should know that there is a lot of information that investigators review with the positive case and/or their parents or the teacher and the adults that work in the school system. So it is important that if they see a call from our number, 904-253-1850, that they respond as soon as possible. These response times can influence the speed of our investigation.
And you bring up such a good point, because in this day where everybody's getting robocalls, they might see a number that they don't recognize. They assume that it's some kind of scam and they don't answer it, forget to check their voicemail. So what you're saying is please answer your call so that you can begin that process, because it will reduce perhaps the number of people who are then further exposed.
Absolutely. And our investigators do leave a detailed message with their name. If you do miss the call and you're wanting to call back, we do suggest that you listen to that message just so you have the name of the investigator that has called you. When you call our 1850 number, that is a general line, but they can direct you to the person that is investigating the case.
Such an excellent point. So we heard last year from some parents who said that process of contact tracing and being notified from the health department sometimes took as long as a week, which then just further, could possibly expose others because they didn't realize they were exposed in the first place. What is being done when it comes to the health department, the number of employees you have helping with contact tracing to reduce that amount of time, that delay?
Right. And so just like last year, we do have a dedicated team that works on contact tracing in the schools and with the school system. We work very closely with DCPS. And again, I think the one thing that everyone should know is response times. We do need to gather certain information. It is imperative that we speak with the person that is positive, or or their parents. And so response times do help us in speeding up that process.
All right, so take that call and make that call, or take the call and then make sure that you reach that out to the health department. Do you expect, given the fact that there is no mask mandate, do you expect that there's going to be a considerable amount of exposure and quarantining, given the fact that this Delta variant spreads much more quickly?
Well, we know that the variant spreads quickly. Our numbers have creeped up in the last few weeks. And while there isn't necessarily a mandate for masks that is statewide, school systems are asking and urging parents to wear masks, urging parents to put their child in masks, as are we. Parents do have the option to opt out of that, but we are working very closely with DCPS to ensure that we get through the investigative process very quickly so that we can mitigate the spread very quickly.
Would a student wearing a mask reduce that spread and that exposure?
Yeah, and so, one of the things that we have heard from the CDC all along is that wearing masks does help reduce exposure. I know that there is a lot of debate about that. However, wearing masks does help. And so that is why we are encouraging that students do wear masks.
And very quickly, parents may be hesitant to report a positive test because they don't want the school or their kids' friends to know that they were positive. Would you just very briefly explain, how you keep that information to prevent private information from getting out to maybe the rest of the school?
Oh, absolutely. And so doing contact investigations is what we do here at the health department. It's not just with this COVID-19 pandemic, but with other disease processes. And so we do not share a person's information with others. When we notify contacts, we simply let them know that they have been named as or identified as a contact, and we are doing the notification in order to protect them. We do not share anyone's personal information when we do contact investigations, and we are sure not to use he or she, but rather a person you have been identified to a contact from a person that is positive for COVID or positive for an infectious process. So we are sure to keep everyone's privacy, and we do not share personal information.
Tawanda Washington with the Duval County Health Department. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Excellent information for our parents and school staff as well.
Thank you.